guys, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you guys today on Inspirations for Your Life. I'm so happy to be here. If you're new here, do me a favor and grab your smartphone and scan that QR code. That'll get you over to believemeachieve.com, where some of my amazing, fascinating information can be found, and you'll be able to become a better version of yourself very quickly and easily, 24 hours a day. Whether you're here at 10:55 at night, 10:55 in the morning, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 12 noon, 12 midnight, makes no difference. I'm so happy that you're here, whether you're watching us live on a stream, on Instagram, TikTok, or perhaps you're maybe just catching us on the audio cast, which comes out 24 hours later. Thank you so much. And I do want to give a big shout out and thank you to everyone, because we're very close to reaching our next milestone, and I couldn't be happier. Inspirations for Your Life is now at over 72,000 downloads. We have a goal to reach 100,000 downloads by Q1, and I think we might even be at 80 or so by the end of December. So really, really grateful. Thank you so much for being here. We started Saturday with a new master topic. We roll all the way through the week, and we finish up on a Friday. We have a great guest coming up. He'll be actually on Thursday this week. Nico Lagan, and he'll be talking to us about something very interesting. You're definitely going to want to check that out. He'll be on 7 p.m. Eastern this Thursday night. That is December 7th. So definitely check that out. But let me let you know what I do, because everybody always asks me. So I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am, yes, a podcast host and a podcast specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and profitable. So I'm a coach and I'm a host, and I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more, and they really want me to find their story, share their story of the world, create their story from truth, so that people become curious about what they do in their business. They'll want to have conversations, and then, yes, they'll want to potentially do business with them. All right, so let's get into our master topic for tonight. I don't want to hold you anymore. Our master topic for tonight, everyone, is embracing success, beyond checklists to the heart of achievement. We're in series 2, show 49, episode number 4. So we all know what a checklist is, and a checklist can make us feel very good about, whether we're doing something or not doing something. But a checklist is a great way to move forward. Unfortunately, checklists are not all that life is about. We have to understand that a checklist could be part of it, but it's not the whole be-all, end-all of life. See, that's the thing. There has to be more to it than just a checklist. Somebody said to me today, because I was on a show today as a guest, and we were talking about the fact that it's got to be about the purpose. It's got to be about the process. It's got to be about the feeling. And if we can't do that, and we're just going through the life of motions, then we're going to always find ourselves chasing our tail and never happy about what we have or what we're creating in our life. So I think that's really important. And so tonight's subtopic is resilience. Yeah, that's a really good one, I know. So resilience can help us cope with life's challenges, okay? Whether that is the passing of someone, a divorce, financial issues, illness, job loss, medical emergencies, or even natural disasters. So resilience, a survivor mentality. People have to be resilient, whether they're going through things like Storm Sandy. And I know when my parents down the shore, we had that very horrible storm hit us, we were very grateful. My dad said something that always stuck with me, I should say. And it was about the fact that I said, "How did we do, Dad?" He says, "Well, we are better than most. Okay. But we're, a lot less worse than some. So we're better than most, but we're a lot less worse than some." So I think that really means that when we think about, resilience, we have to know how to bounce back, and we have to know what we're going to do in our life. We have to know why we're doing something. We have to have a passion for what we're doing in our life. That's the main name of the game. So when you have that survivor mentality, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. Because see, if you only survive, then that's going to burn you out, right then and there. So I think that's really, really important. You have to be effective, right? Emotional regulation. You have to know how to manage your emotions, control your state. We've talked about that many, 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 many times. You have to feel in control, because sometimes our world can, send us for a tailspin. You have to be good at problem solving, or I like to say challenge solving. You have to be self-compassionate. You have to have social support, and you have to understand that there are different types of resilience. There is physical resilience, which refers to how the body deals with change and recovers from physical demands like illness and injuries and things like that. There's mental resilience that has to deal with the ability to adapt to change and uncertainty in what's around. There's emotional resilience, which has to deal with times of stress, right? There's social resilience, when we have to talk about community resilience, the ability of groups to recover from difficult situations. So, resilience. Some people are naturally resilient and have that trait built within them. Other people are, fighting at the stick to be able to just barely be resilient. So these behaviors, just like leaders, are not they're not all inborn traits, because we always said leaders are not born, they're made. And so resilience is the culmination and the result of a complex series of internal, external characteristics. So resilient people tend to have some very interesting life characteristics. That's being a good communicator. They have an internal set of controls to know how to put themselves in a great state. They have a high level of emotional intelligence that is extremely effective and able to be agile so that it can switch at a moment's notice without upsetting or knocking over the whole apple cart. Now, they also hold positive views of themselves and their abilities, and they possess the capacity to make realistic plans and stick to them and view themselves as fighters rather than victims. You see, when we see ourselves as a victim, then we've already lost. Now, you might say, well, John, that's not nice to say. Well, I'm being truthful with you. It's about that whole concept. And if you understand that concept, that you've lost, then I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And that is the fact that everything in our life happens because of a perception. Okay. It happens because of a perception. And so I know what you're probably saying. I know you're saying that, that can't be, but it is. Our world happens and unfolds because of one thing, because of the perceptions that we put forth on our world. Now, you might say to me, John, how does resilience impact our life? Well, it affects our life so many different ways. There's the psychological strength to cope with stress and hardship. There's the mental reservoir, right? There's change. Nobody likes change, but we have to deal with it because sometimes change leads to stress. And we get fearful because we don't know how we're going to respond to that situation. What is it going to mean for us? How do we become more resilient? I think that's the multi-million-dollar question of tonight. How do we as individuals become more resilient? And it's a choice. It's something that people can build in themselves over time. Parents will help their children become more resilient. To take steps, it could be things like, how do you handle people that are disrespectful to you? How do you handle, balancing your schoolwork versus balancing going out to play? And I remember that before I could go play, I always needed to do my schoolwork. It was like a natural thing. And then it kind of like was an inborn habit. And that habit just kind of took over. And then I just realized that before I could do anything, I always would do my homework first. It's important to seek support. Okay. Other people have these challenges too. It's not just you. And so when we understand that, we have to first realize that stress is a big, big conductor of this problem. And so we have to learn how to manage stress, cognitive restructuring of our brain, maybe diaphragmatic breathing exercises, biofeedback techniques, effective communication, problem solving, progressive muscle relaxation, right? And so let's talk a little about breathing exercises to relieve anxiety. So, one thing you could do is you could basically just close your eyes, take a deep breath, mentally repeat and visualize the number three times in your mind. Hold it for a count of three and exhale. Feels really good. Inhale again. Inhale for the count of three and picture the number three times in your mind. Hold it for a count of three and exhale. Do it one more time. Inhale. Mentally repeat and visualize the number one three times in your mind. Hold it for a count of three and exhale. And you can say to yourself, I am fully relaxed. I am in control. I am able to manage my state and able to continue to grow and be more successful each day. I learn to be more resilient with every lesson I learn. Okay, so it's not hard, but resilience takes a choice, ladies and gentlemen. It's a choice in our life. And choices are about things that we know about and sometimes things we don't know. Building resilience, when we think about that, you're able to respond to challenges you face in a way that not just help you survive adversity, but can help you bounce back from adversity. I think that's really the biggest challenges. And so when we think about, adversity, when we think about challenges, when we think about what's going on in our lives, I want to talk to you about an example of resilience. So if you're faced with, let's say, a loss of a relationship, it could be maybe the person passed, or maybe the person is not your friend anymore, or you don't see eye to eye anymore. Focus on what you can control versus what you can't control. So a lot of people spend so much time worrying about things that they have no control over, and then they drive themselves nuts. There are key factors in resilience, okay? Coping skills, emotional regulation, sense of control, communication, social support. But trauma affects resilience. People with strong support and existing emotional resources are likely to emerge from trauma with even greater sense of resilience. Children are often resilient to trauma, okay? A brief resilience scale is important to understand, and people are sometimes referred to as being resilient, suggesting that this is a new personality trait. So there are a few resilience skills that are important, and we could be talking about things like leveraging your personal strengths, setting healthy boundaries, like saying no, not saying yes all the time. A lot of people just say yes because they think they want to be polite, they want to be respectful. But really what you're doing is you're being disrespectful to yourself. Regulate your own emotions. I said this before. No one has the right to make you feel inferior about yourself except for one person, you. So don't do it. Regulate your emotions, recognize cognitive distortion. If something's not right, well, stop and analyze that. Develop realistic expectations, okay? Find meaning in what you do. In other words, make sure that what you're doing is drawn upon by a purpose. Commit to a long-term development plan. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You can become resilient. Now, a lot of people think resilience is power. It's not. Resilience is the ability to bounce back when you've had a setback. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you were, let's say, doing something like perhaps you were on a team and, you were starting to play soccer, but you weren't an expert yet and you were just playing, but there are other players who are better than you. And then maybe somebody on the team says, you're really lousy at soccer. And that might really send you for a loop. But the truth of the matter is, you can't let that bother you. You have to realize and say, well, hey, I bet you weren't always great at soccer when you started. And is it about name calling? No, it's not about name calling. It is about the fact that we have to understand that we can't let things take us off our track. Okay? We can't. Resilience refers to an individual's ability to recover from life's challenges, hardships, such as trauma, illness, workplace issues, and relationship struggles. So let me give you another one. Many of you guys know, and I'm very grateful, by the way, that I got my voice back. I had a little bit of a losing my voice the other day. I will tell you that when I broke my tib and fib over 7 years ago, if you asked me what I would need to bounce back, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But after having broken my tib and fib and learning about how to strive and to, let's say, get the resources to become resilient, see, that is something that made me. And a lot of people hearing this stuff, whether it's tonight or tomorrow, whenever, some people are going to tune out to this because they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. I'm better than everybody. And I get that. And I get that, whether it's a male attitude, because we're talking about males this week. It's the thing you have to realize is that the people that don't want to embrace these things are the ones that are going to have the problem. So there'll be a lot of people listening. And on our audio cast has now, like I said, we're over 70-some thousand people. I think that's amazing. I know I'm going to be very happy when we hit 100,000. And then I had a friend of mine the other day say, John, he says, we're rooting for you. We want to see 1 million. I said, well, let's get to 100,000 first, and then we'll worry about getting to the million. People say to me, when you reach the first 100,000, the next 100,000 is a lot easier. So we'll see. But so resilience is knowing how to find the resources. Now, you might not know how to be that great soccer player, but you might understand that what made you feel lousy on the field is the fact that you tried with all your might and you couldn't do anything. Maybe being resilient is finding somebody, a friend or someone that can help play soccer with you, that can teach you how to block, teach you how to be a goalie, teach you how to kick, right? Maybe that's what it's about. But there are a lot of people that are mean. And I don't know why guys sometimes are like this, but it's like, it's a machoist attitude. It's also this, I'm better than thou or than you attitude. But I think if we all realize that we come to the same table and we break bread together, the competitiveness is great. But I think when somebody's trying to learn, we can't be, knocking down their parade. It's one thing if we're in a game and, we're trying to be competitive. But if we're trying to learn, I think the biggest thing that we can be as human beings is be compassionate and helpful to others, because I know if we were in that situation, we would want someone to feel like that for us. Now, research has shown that the capacity to cope may ease symptoms of anxiety, depression, and overall quality of life. As we learn resilience through these methods, such as mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, changing thought patterns, such as in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, resilience will set us up for success. And we can cut resilience, but if we do that, we'll find that we're going to be burned out. Now, we talked about burning out before. If you're resilient, you're going to be more able to recover. Let's just say, for example, you took a run, right? And maybe you're not a runner and you ran, and after that run, you're tired. So resilience would be how much time it takes you to recover. Some people might need a minute. Some people might 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 50 minutes. Some people might need no time. And then they're ready to recover again. So resilience is also that time period that we need to recoup to come back to a state that'll allow us to start again. So there are 7 C's of resilience. I want to share this with you. People with the highest level of resilience demonstrate the following 7 C's. And this is according to the American Academy of Pediatrics and Kenneth Ginsberg, a medical doctor, a pediatrician in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who identified the essential building blocks of resilience. And he calls them the 7 C's that I want to share with you right now. 1 is competence. knowing you're capable and having the skills to handle adversity. That's number one. Number two, confidence, believing in your strengths and abilities. Number three, connection. Have a support network and ties to others in the community, creating a sense of security. Number four, staying true to your values and your beliefs, regardless of what other people say in your community or in your own immediate circle. Number five, contribution. Having a sense of purpose and knowing that you have power to positively impact others. As I was saying before, when people do something for a purpose, they find themselves more driven to be pushing toward the promise that they want to achieve. Coping. Know how to manage stressful situations because they're going to pop up. And lastly, number seven, control. Understand the choices you have and understand that you have consequences if you don't act accordingly. So a lot of people believe that they are the expert of everything. And I think it's great to have that. But I think sometimes we have to realize that if we're not great at something, we have to hone our skills. Like if you are going to go, like one of the things I love to do is I love to sail competitively. Now, when I started sailing, I didn't know squat about sailing. And so there's a lot that you have to know. And one big thing is weight. So one thing I had to realize that when I became a sailor and then I tried to become a competitive sailor, I did not know all the facets that were as important in racing, but were not as important with everyday casual sailing. So I think if we were embracing resilience, what I want to send home to you is that this is the support system that your body has that allows you to cope, that allows you to basically bounce back, right? Maybe you've had a meal and maybe, I don't know, you ate too much, right? One of the best ways to be resilient at the dinner table is to eat slowly. That means cut your food, chew your food slowly, eat slowly, drink slowly. As you do this, your brain gets the message, from your stomach slowly that, you're full. And now you don't eat anymore. But if you kept eating too fast, by the time your brain got the message, oh, wait, I'm bloated. I don't feel like eating anymore. So being resilient in that method is to eat slowly. If you've eaten too much, how do you become resilient? Well, maybe you go take a walk. So there are different types of resilience in our life. And I think as we get, how can I say, more experience with resilience, we'll start to understand that it'll become second nature. Hey guys, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been a privilege, a pleasure, an honor to be with you this fantastic, amazing evening. I hope you'll like, love, support the channel, comment below, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates, share this out with everyone you know on social media. Go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing creations. But before I do run, I want to thank you, and I want to let you know what I do. I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am a podcast host and a podcast coach and a specialist in helping businesses tell a story that leads to them growing and being more scalable and profitable. And I typically work with companies that bring in 10 million or more. They have a story that wants to be shared, or they don't know what the story is. Now, I want to share this. I don't have it in my pocket, but I'll share it with you tonight. I just got my new international press badge. I think I told you it was November that I renewed. It was just my 7th year, but it got lost in the mail because it comes internationally. And it's not the sense of having the badge. It's the part of what the badge means and what it stands for. The fact that being a journalist, being a videographer, that I am passionate about creating purposeful, meaningful, truthful content that educates and inspires. You will not find too much of my content that ever sells. In fact, I don't think there's any of my content that sells. It educates people. It gets them curious to ask more questions. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. And remember, to be resilient, it starts with a choice. And the first choice you have to realize is, what is it going to take me to become whole again after I've expended myself, whether that's through time, whether that's through energy? How do I get my tank? How do I get my battery recharged, right? We talked about the iPhone where, the iPhone goes dead after a period of time. To get resilience to the iPhone, I have to recharge my phone again. How do we recharge our body so that we're able to, let's say, move on a path that gets us full again? All right. Have yourself a great evening, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Be well, everyone.